Amnesty warns genocide not over amid renewed strikes in Gaza. U.S. suspends Afghan immigration request after National Guard shooting. Tragedy in Hong Kong as high-rise fire claims dozens. Guinea-Bissau military reopens borders after seizing power. Good afternoon. Welcome to The World in 30 Minutes on Politics and Business Television. I'm Fatima Abubakar Oibo. Many thanks for joining us. Details of these news stories and more content to come after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news in full. Amnesty International has issued a stark warning that genocide is not over as Israeli forces intensify strikes across Gaza. The rights groups condemn the ongoing bombardment, stressing that civilians remain at grave risk and humanitarian conditions continue to deteriorate. Reports from the enclave indicate widespread destruction, with families displaced and critical infrastructure severely damaged. The warning comes as international pressure mounts on Israel to halt its military campaign and allow aid into Gaza. Global leaders and humanitarian organizations are calling for accountability, while Amnesty insists that the international community must act decisively to prevent further atrocities. The situation underscores a deepening crisis and the urgent need for sustainable resolution. Meanwhile, fresh attacks in Beirut have left Lebanon on edge, with growing fears that the country may be sliding towards another conflict with Israel. Witnesses reported explosions in parts of the capital, sparking panic among residents and raising concerns about escalating tensions in the region. Security officials say the strikes have deepened anxiety as communities brace for the possibility of renewed hostilities. The violence has prompted urgent calls for restraint, with regional leaders warning that Lebanon cannot afford another devastating war. Analysts note that the attacks have heightened uncertainty, leaving citizens worried and waiting for what could be a wider confrontation. And the situation underscores a fragile state of peace in the Middle East and the looming threat of further escalation. A tense scene unfolded near the White House on Wednesday as a member of the U.S. Secret Service stood guard with a weapon in cordoned-off area following reports of a National Guard shooting. Security was heightened across Washington, D.C., with authorities moving swiftly to secure the perimeter and reassure the public amid growing concerns. In response to the incident, the U.S. government has announced a suspension of immigration requests from Afghan nationals. Officials say the measure is temporary but necessary as investigations continue into the shooting and its broader implications. The decision has sparked debate, with advocates warning of its impact on vulnerable Afghans seeking refuge. In the meantime, blizzard conditions in Midwest nearly turned tragic when a car skidded out of control and almost struck first responders working at the scene of an accident. Officials say the dangerous weather has made roads treacherous, with visibility reduced to near zero in some areas. Emergency crews are urging drivers to stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary, as snow and ice continue to pile up. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm alerts and hazardous weather outlooks across several states, warning of worsening conditions as the Thanksgiving holiday approaches. Authorities are preparing for heavy travel disruptions, with airports and highways bracing for delays. Residents have been advised to take precautions, stock up on essentials, and prioritize safety as the storm intensifies. In another development, French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that the country will restore voluntary military service as part of efforts to strengthen national unity and civic responsibility. And the initiative is expected to give young people the opportunity to serve in various capacities, including defense, emergency response, and community development. Macron emphasized that the program will not only bolster military readiness, but also instill values of discipline and patriotism. Officials say the voluntary service will be designed to complement existing defense structures while offering participants valuable skills and training. The move comes amid growing debates in Europe about security preparedness and youth engagement in national service. Analysts believe the plan could help bridge social divides and reinforce France's commitment to collective responsibility. Pope Leo has arrived in Turkey on his first foreign trip since assuming the papacy, marking a significant moment in his leadership of the Catholic Church. His visit includes a historic gathering in Nicaea, where he will meet with leaders of other Christian traditions to foster dialogue and unity among denominations. The event is being closely watched as a step towards strengthening ecumenical ties and promoting peace across faith communities. The Pope's journey will also take him to Beirut, where he is scheduled to celebrate Mass with thousands of worshippers. Church officials say the trip underscores his commitment to building bridges across cultures and faiths, while reaffirming the Church's presence in regions facing political and social challenges. The visit is expected to draw global attention and highlight the Pope's vision for reconciliation and solidarity. Meanwhile, a Turkish court has acquitted 4 journalists who were facing charges related to their coverage of protests in Istanbul. The journalists had been accused of spreading propaganda and inciting unrest during demonstrations, but the court ruled that their reporting fell within the bounds of press freedom. The verdict has been welcomed by press freedom advocates who argue that journalism should not be criminalized. Observers say the acquittal is a significant moment in Turkey's ongoing debate over media rights and government accountability. The case had drawn international attention, highlighting concerns about press restrictions and freedom of expression in the country. You're still watching The World in 30 Minutes live on Politics and Business Television. Still to come, deadly floods in Sumatra leave 34 dead as evacuations intensify. Stay with us. Welcome back. At least 65 people have been confirmed dead following a massive fire that engulfed a high-rise building in Hong Kong. Emergency services battled through the night to contain the blaze, which tore through multiple floors, leaving widespread destruction. Authorities say hundreds remain unaccounted for, raising fears that the death toll could rise significantly as rescue operations continue. The disaster has plunged the city into mourning, with families desperately searching for loved ones and hospitals overwhelmed by the injured. Officials have pledged a full investigation into the cause of the fire, while international passages of condolence pour in. Rescue teams remain on the ground, racing against time to locate survivors amid the charred remains of the building. Meanwhile, Indonesia is racing to evacuate thousands of residents from flood-hit areas in Sumatra after torrential rains triggered widespread devastation. Officials confirmed that at least 34 people have died, with rescue teams working around the clock to reach stranded communities. Home, roads and farmlands have been submerged, leaving families displaced and critical infrastructure severely damaged. Emergency authorities warn that the death toll could rise as hundreds remain trapped in remote villages. Relief efforts have been hampered by difficult terrain and continuous rainfall, but the government has deployed military and disaster response units to speed up evacuations. Humanitarian groups are also on the ground, providing food, shelter and medical aid to survivors of the disaster. A fresh diplomatic row has erupted between India and China after the detention of Arunachal Pradesh-born woman Prema Wangjom-Tongdok at Shanghai's Pudong International Airport. The incident has reignited long-standing disputes, with Beijing continuing to claim Arunachal Pradesh as southern Tibet, while New Delhi firmly rejects these assertions. Indian officials have lodged strong protests accusing China of harassment and stressing that Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of India. The confrontation comes after months of relative calm in bilateral ties, raising fears of renewed strain between the two Asian giants. Analysts warn that the spat underscores the fragility of relations as both nations remain locked in territorial disagreements along the contested border. With tensions mounting, the episode has once again placed Arunachal Pradesh at the center of a geopolitical standoff that could have wider regional implications. Well, back in Africa, the military authorities in Guinea-Bissau have announced the reopening of the country's borders days after seizing power in a coup. Officials say the decision is aimed at easing economic disruptions and allowing the resumption of trade and travel, which had been halted during the initial takeover. The announcement comes amid regional and international condemnation of the coup, with ECOWAS and the African Union demanding a swift return to the constitutional order. Analysts know that reopening the borders may be an attempt by the junta to calm tensions and reassure citizens, though uncertainty remains over the country's political failure. Meanwhile, South Africa has strongly hit back after President Donald Trump announced that the United States will not invite the country to next year's G20 summit. The move follows Washington's boycott of the recent G20 gathering in Johannesburg, citing widely discredited claims of persecution of the white minority. Officials in Pretoria condemned the remarks, calling them baseless and harmful to international cooperation. They stressed that South Africa remains a committed member of the Global Economic Forum and will continue to engage constructively with other nations. The diplomatic role has sparked debate over U.S. foreign policy and its impact on multilateral relations. And that wraps up the program, but before we go, the headlines again. Amnesty warns genocide not over amid renewed strikes in Gaza. U.S. suspends Afghan immigration request after National Guard shooting. Tragedy in Hong Kong as high-rise fire claims dozens. Guinea-Bissau military reopens borders after seizing power. For more updates and in-depth analysis, follow Politics and Business TV.English on YouTube and Facebook. Connect with us on Instagram at PMBTV_English, TikTok and X at PMBTV_ENG. Remember to subscribe.